Hey guys, and welcome back to this Planet Zoo video. So in today's video, I'm going to be filling this empty space in with a grizzly bear habitat. So if we look at the Zoopedia, we are effectively somewhere like here now with the grizzly bear. We've done the greater flamingo, we're down on the grizzly bear. So the next two habitats are going to be the grizzly bear and the Himalayan brown bear. So funnily enough, just by coincidence, this actually means that we have our former Samoan black bears here, our grizzly bears are going to be here, and then we have our pandas here. So I'm thinking that the Himalayan brown bear is probably going to be next to the pandas or in this space on this part of the hill over here. So I just thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about where we're going to be going next because we've done that corner of the zoo now. So we have officially finished. This is what it's looking like from above, this corner. And we are, as I said, probably even less than an eighth. I mean, a quarter would probably be about here, so maybe about an eighth-ish of the way through the actual land we've got. And we have this big open space here, which I'm actually thinking of turning into a lake or something. I don't know what we're going to be putting in here, but we shall find out soon. I also need to go back and sort out the train tracks at some point and do some stations, but to be honest, right now I'm focusing on just getting the animals into the park, and then I'll spend the rest of the time doing some stuff elsewhere. So I did pop in a little bit earlier and spend a bit of time just sorting this path out so it runs a bit smoother, sorting the terrain out just so it's a bit easier for me to build and record this video. So the plan is we're going to have like a building on the edge of this circle bit here. So the guests can walk through, view down, and then this will be the animal shelter. So the bears will be sheltering under here, because obviously you can only have two bears in a habitat. We are on franchise, so everything is very much how the game intended it to be. So yeah, I'll see you on the other side when we finish building this.
So as you can see, we start off here. We have this lovely blank canvas that I kind of created, and I wanted to have an interesting looking fence. I originally tried this with like some wooden pieces, but the bears can climb over the wooden pieces. So I have used the rusty rods from the Australia pack instead. And essentially I'm using those at different heights, and the African like fancy twirly twig things, I don't know what they're called, I can't remember what they're called, um, to create that. This bit of fence will be down below if you want to have them in your blueprint so you can use it as fencing. Um, so yeah, so with this habitat, the main sort of theme I wanted to go with it was this lovely kind of wooden kind of woodland rustic sort of, but not too rustic, kind of wooden but modern theme, I suppose, which is why we've got this kind of almost contemporary art as the boundaries here. So there's sort of three main viewing areas. I put the fence underground here just to kind of help this little bit blend in a bit more, and I made some arches that sort of reflect the arches that were put in the Gemspot habitat. I did something very similar, and I just think it helps sort of make it feel like you're in the same zoo as you're moving through the sort of zoo yourself. If you're a guest and you're moving through, it kind of just gives it that, you know, flowing feeling that you're still in the same place. The architecture's similar, the architecture's the same. I love these giant log pieces, by the way. They're some of the best pieces in the game, just because you can turn them upside down, you can do all sorts of things with them, and the animals actually can climb on them too, so that's really cool. So we start off with just doing some of the fencing here, just trying to actually make it look a little bit more safe. I haven't actually considered most of my guest safety in the zoo, so I was actually doing some tweaks to the former Samoan bear habitat there, and then I used this Australia fence to create like an anti-climb and anti-fall barrier. So if the guests fall over this like fence, they're not gonna end up in the habitat. They'll end up on that fence, and I really like how it looked. So I'll definitely be doing that again. Obviously now we have the former Samoan bears over there. We have the grizzly bears here. We have the pandas to the right of this habitat, and then the Himalayan bears are going to be directly to the left. So it's going to be really cool. So now I'm starting on the sort of viewing platform / cave area. So I used the educational speaker how I used it in my building circles off the grid video, just so I could get the size of the platform. If I'd built this on the platform, I don't think it would have looked quite as good as it does. And essentially what I've done is I've gotten this speaker, and I've measured the sort of size of the platform, and then put the speaker on some flat land, and then built this whole building on flat land. Now I'm using the grid because I want to create a dome for this. I wanted to create a round building with a round roof, and it works out really well. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. So I just added all these kind of structural pieces to try and make it look a little bit more like, you know, it makes sense. And then obviously I start to rotate it using Control X, and off here we go. So this all gets merged into one sort of object, and then you can see now how like well it's lined up. So I can see that by using the speaker, it's meant that I've been able to build something that is the exact size of that platform. So obviously with this platform, again, it's very much just sort of doing the same kind of thing and just bringing it down to this level, putting all the structures and beams in. And I really like how this turned out. I really, really am pleased with this, because obviously you've got the sort of bear cave underneath, because you can use the platform itself as like a shelter. So that's like the roof of their shelter bit, and then I made like a big tree in the center of this. So the sort of kind of inspiration for this habitat was probably the wildlife project in Bristol. So the Wild Place project is essentially partnered with Bristol University, and they have a lot of emphasis on rewilding the UK. So it was kind of fitting that this is kind of grizzly bears. Obviously we wouldn't have grizzly bears in the UK, it would probably be like the European brown bear. However, I think it's kind of important to sort of have a chat about this as well, because, you know, this game does promote a lot of conservation. So basically in the UK we don't have any major sort of carnivores or large herbivores really, aside from deer. Deer are like our largest herbivores. And the reason for this is because we basically killed off all our wolves, lynx and bears. We didn't have beavers until a few years ago basically, and what's happened is like 10,000 years ago the UK went through a massive deforestation. So there used to be trees from Penzance all the way up to the Orkneys. The whole country used to be covered in trees, and then as humans developed and farming became more commonplace, we cut down all the trees. So we have like not many trees in the UK, not what it should be. So this caused a lot of megafauna to go extinct anyway. And then as civilization developed, the UK decided this deer hunting is great, because all the kings and lords and ladies and all that wanted deer to hunt. So they effectively persecuted the remaining wildlife, which I think was mainly sort of bison, wolves and lynx and things, and they basically persecuted all these animals effectively we now no longer have these animals in the UK. So there's been major sort of work to try and promote rewilding the UK, because our biodiversity has been majorly impacted on this. And like deer are not good on their own. When they haven't got like a carnivore, they are not great for the ecosystems. They eat a lot, they eat sort of everything. But not only that, but so for my degree I actually did a paper. We had to look at a piece of legislation and state whether it worked or not. So I looked at the badger culling legislation, and essentially in the UK we cull badgers, which are a native species, to effectively stop the spread of bovine TB or tuberculosis. And it's just like, well, does it actually work? And the answer is no. But and the reason for it is that badgers are essentially a scapegoat for deer. If I recall, now this was a few years ago, so I might be slightly outdated in my numbers, but it was, I think 30% of deer in the UK contain TB, and they will have the disease TB, and the deer then go into the fields with the cows and then spread the TB to the cows because they're eating the same grass, so they're very close in proximity to each other, whereas badgers don't really want to have anything to do with cows. They're quite happy doing their own thing. So we basically kill like a select number of badgers to try and stop this, when actually it's deer who are to blame. So if we started rewilding our country, we would actually have big animals that could get rid of deer, like wolves and bears, which could effectively kill the deer and help stop bovine TB, and also stop us persecuting badgers. So it's a win-win all around. But it's interesting as well, because a lot of people don't actually talk about how deer carry bovine TB. I think in the UK there's this attitude that we don't have many deer, and it's actually incorrect. We have quite a major deer problem, just because we have nothing to control them. We actually have to hunt deer to control the deer, which is a bit silly when we could be having like wolves and bears do it for us. So the Wildfires project is basically, they have a massive, I think 7-acre habitat that has both bears and wolves living together in it, and it's to educate the public that this is something that these are animals that we need. They also have lynx as well, and I really hope we get to see lynx reintroduced to the UK in my lifetime. I really do, and I think I will, but who knows. Obviously we've had beavers reintroduced recently, and that's been successful, and so successful in fact that they're now introducing beavers sort of to Cheshire Way now and around Manchester, which is really cool because they were originally introduced sort of in Scotland. So it's cool that they're doing so well that we're being able to sort of spread and have them elsewhere too. So obviously with this kind of wooden log tunnel that I'm building here, I created it because it's sort of reminiscent of the Wild Place project in the fact that you're high up and you're looking down, and I wanted to kind of put emphasis on this kind of woodland habitat. That is the main focus here. And obviously again, like even in the UK, we're having, I think they're looking at reintroducing European bison next year to sort of Kent, around there. And obviously if we're going to be reintroducing these animals, we're going to have to like basically rebuild these habitats, and like don't do what the UK did and cut down all these trees if you're from a different country. Like really go for it and go and say, look, we want to protect these trees, don't cut them down, because at the end of the day it's an absolute pain in the neck to actually replant all these trees. Now they're doing a lot of replanting in the Lake District, which is great to see, because I mean the Lake District should be covered in trees and it's not, mainly because we graze sheep on it, God knows why. But yeah, so I just think again, like the work they're doing at the Wild Place project is really important, and it's just a way of educating people on what our country could be, what our wildlife should be, because we have such low biodiversity compared to a lot of like island nations, and it's really sad. So this habitat is named Bear Woods after the Bear Woods in the Wild Place project, and that's kind of the background behind this. And everything sort of here I would like to hope would be sort of, you know, educating people of the importance of these kind of natural habitats and natural woodlands, because you know what, save the trees. I'm an advocate for saving the trees, and we should, you know, we shouldn't be cutting down these ancient woodlands, because at the end of the day we need them as habitat for all our amazing animals that we should be having, and we're going to be reintroducing them, I hope, in the near future. I hope to see lynx reintroduced to the UK. There's definitely space for them and habitat for them, and we're going to be making more habitat. I mean, even for these bison, like if we introduce these bison, we're going to need something to eat the bison, otherwise we'll just be shooting them, which will just be, you know, the same as what we're doing with these deer. So anyway, that's the end of this habitat now. I hope you enjoyed the commentary as well. I know it kind of deviated actually from the build itself. Obviously it's a very natural build anyway. So a couple of things as well. If you liked this video, please like the video, and if you want to see more regular content like this, please do subscribe to me and give me a thumbs up down below. I will see you in the next video now, and I'll leave you with the cinematic. So take care guys, and see you in the next one.